everyone. Welcome to our 2022 Aster summary reading. We are so excited to have all of you here. We know that you're all incredibly talented writers, and we had the privilege of being able to read your work this year, and we just wanted to celebrate how great 2022 was for Aster and our submissions. So without further ado, let's get started. But before we start, could we go around and just say, could the readers go around and just say their names, where they're zooming in from, and one fun fact about you? I can start. My name is Zara. I'm zooming in from Los Angeles, California. And one fun fact about me is that I've been learning Mandarin since kindergarten at my school, and so I can speak it fluently now. So that's pretty cool. Would anyone like to go next?
Okay, I'm just gonna go next since nobody else wants to go. Can everyone hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I lost track of the questions. What were you supposed to do again?
Sorry, what
I mean,
did
apart from it, you said we were supposed to introduce ourselves and then
Yes.
something else.
Oh, sorry.
Or is it
Just introduce yourself, say your first and last name, where you're zooming in from, and one fun fact about you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Emmanuel. I'm from Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria, and one fun fact about me, I don't know. I really don't know. Sorry.
Okay. Would anyone like to go after Emmanuel?
I can go next. I'm Ariana. I'm from Maryland, but I'm zooming in from Exeter, New Hampshire. And one fun fact about me is that I like art.
That's awesome. Okay.
I can go next. Hello, I am Snow. I'm zooming in from India, and one fun fact about me would be that animated films are my go-to mood. Like I can be feeling anything, and I'll still end up watching animated films no matter what.
Awesome. Okay. Which reader would like to go next? Do we have a reader that would like to?
I'd like to go next. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, I'm Reed Khalifa. I'm zooming in from Egypt. And well, one fun fact about me is that I painted a wall mural in almost 10 hours. And yeah.
That's so cool. I could never paint a wall mural in 10 hours. I can't draw or paint. So, okay. Who else do we have? Do we have any other readers that would like to go next?
I could go next if that's all good.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ariba Ali. I am zooming in from Canada. It's surprisingly sunny today, which doesn't happen often. Fun fact about me. My computer stopped charging this morning. Out of all the days, it stopped charging today. So I'm zooming in from my sister's iPad, which has been pleasant as of now.
I hope your computer starts charging again soon. That sucks. Okay, do we have any other readers that would like to? I see some, we have a few others.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Adesina Pelumi. I'm zooming in from Nigeria. One fun fact about me is that I love to eat tomatoes.
Awesome. Okay. Do we have any others that would like to go before we get started?
Yeah, so I'm Anna. I'm zooming in from San Diego, California, and I don't know, I guess I don't have any fun facts, but I'm a really big Ada Limon fan, so I just finished her poetry collection, The Hurting Kind, and it was really good.
That's amazing. Okay. Do we have any other readers or should we get started?
Hi, I'd like to go next.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pritha Jain, and I am currently joining in from my college dorm in Tamil Nadu, India. One fun fact about me is that I've been reading and writing for as long as I can remember. I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you.
We're really looking forward to hearing you read. So do we have any others or should we begin our reading? I think we have. Has anyone not shared? Okay, then let's get started. Oh, let's see. Sorry. Okay. So we are obviously we're Aster Lit. We have 1.5 thousand plus submissions in 2022 alone. So 1.5 thousand people submitted to us, which is kind of crazy considering that we started in 2020 and we really grew. And so we're just so honored to have all of you guys submitting to us. And then we had submissions from 54 plus countries, and that's really crazy too, because seeing all of you zooming in from so many different places is so inspiring to us, and we really celebrate the diversity of our publishees. And so thank you guys so much for being here. We have 6 podcast episodes as of 2022. You can check out our podcast on Spotify. It's called Ad Aster. And then we have 4 2022 issues as well. And so our goal is to empower and connect youth from around the world through creative writing. Okay, so our first reader is Reem Khalifa. Reem is a 17-year-old Egyptian student who is passionate about all things art. She is an alumna of the Between the Lines Creative Writing Summer Program. She writes both poetry and prose, but finds herself always writing in too much detail, so she turns her poetry into prose. That is very relatable. Okay, Reem, whenever you're ready, let me, oh my goodness, there we go. Okay, whenever you're ready, you can start. Her piece is called From Home.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to get started. Well, before reading, May means mother and is pronounced as May in one short syllable. Anna Foster did not want to do this anymore. She had just got out of the hospital after working nonstop for 28 hours in the emergency room. She was lost on her way down the streets with tears streaking her face. She had seen enough pain, heard enough screams, touched enough scars, and had had her fair share of pressure to last her a year. Maybe she was not built for this job. Maybe all the dreams she builds and all the work she's done would be for nothing. No, she can't think like that. She's been through a lot, and it's only right for her to face her fears, not run into the first obstacle May would disapprove. Well, May has disapproved of almost everything Anne has done. No grades were enough, no achievement was enough, not even when Anna passed her tests to get into medical school. That was also not good enough. It feels like all Anna's attempts to make her mother proud were never enough. She knows they were not for May. Bad memories would do no good now. So Anna searched with her eyes for a good thing. Something Dad taught her to do whenever she got too consumed with the dark and gloomy clouds of grief. And after what seemed like an eternity of her collecting herself and focusing her attention, a small pho shop next to the coffee franchise shop across the street caught her eye. It was a rare sight in this part of London to see something so colorful to contrast the industrial colors in the white English winter. The lovely scent of spices beat the smell of coffee to her nose, and with it, she felt the warmth seep into her. It has been so long since she had pho. So, without much thought, Anna walked over to the store. The moment the door opened, a myriad of smells flooded Anna's nose, the warmth almost stunning her senses with the contrast it had with the English cold. On the counter was a teenage girl with gorgeous night black locks, neon black tips, pink tips, and sharp makeup that was louder than inside his head.
That's just an excerpt of your piece. If you want, you can continue
Yeah.
past that since you haven't read past 5 minutes. And we know that your piece is a lot longer than that. So we just kind of excerpted the beginning of your piece, but you can continue.
Yeah, so I wanted to do like one page in particular, and I had it set up
Yeah.
right here. Okay. Okay. So the broth started to boil, and the smell of it engulfed the house, and with it the memories of home started flooding Anna's mind. The sound of May's laughter over something Dad said, the way May would shake her head when Anna's report cards said 97 instead of 100, the shine in Dad's eyes as he looked at May, the warmth of Dad's hug, the taste of the fruits May got up for Anna instead of an apology. Pho broth took so long to make, and it feels like Anna's family lived their memories entangled with the smells and flavors of it. Anna removed the scum as said in the recipe, lowered the heat, and chopped up the onion and ginger for charring. She put them in the oven broiler and got started on adding spices. She pressed the cardamom and searched for scissors to open packets of dried shrimp, and once she finally opened the packet, she smelled the smoke of something burned. The onions. The recipe said the onions take less cooking time. Anna rested the oven to find her onions burned to a crisp, and the gingers running close behind. She turned off the oven and sat on the kitchen floor, heads in hand. May always curled her lips in this look of disappointment whenever Anna failed. She used to blame her for burning her dad's toast, for dropping the medication before she gave them to him, for wanting to be an artist, for dyeing her hair, for putting too much sugar in the cake, for every little slip that Anna had from the image of the perfect daughter. No, this was not the time to dwell on all the times May made Anna's soul feel down. This was the time to get up and chop another onion and try again. That is what Dad would say when she burnt his toast, when she dropped the medication, when she put too much sugar in the cake. Just the fact that you tried is enough, love. You can always try again, he would say. So she tried again. That's it.
And I forgot to mention, thank you so much, Reem. And I forgot to mention that if anyone has any, we're going to do like a little Q&A at the end. So if anyone has any questions or words of encouragement for our readers, you can put them in the chat and then I'll address them at the end of the reading. And so in terms of your piece, we were just, when we read it, by the way, Reem is an issue 7 theme winner. When we read your piece, we thought that it perfectly demonstrated the way that food brings back memories for the ones we lost. And we also really appreciated the complex relationship that the daughter had with her mother. And we thought, you know, like that really encapsulated the feelings of grief when you don't have like a perfect relationship with your mom or a lost loved one. And I think we all have the experience of a parent or grandparent preparing a dish for us that we'll never forget. And I think your piece was so special because it relates to everyone. It was just so nostalgic. So thank you so much for submitting to us. All right, so our next reader is Anna Fung with Burning Out. Anna Fung is from San Diego, California. She is a California Arts scholar and Iowa Young Writers Workshop alumni. Her work has been recognized by the UK Poetry Society, Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, and Nancy Thorpe Poetry Contest. In her spare time, you can find her singing Phantom of the Opera and listening to Phoebe Bridgers. So Anna, we are so excited to have you today. And whenever you're ready, you can read your piece.
Cool. Okay, this piece is entitled Burning Out. My grandfather was a serial smoker, but anyone could tell by the weight of his expiration. How once we missed him, we couldn't stop. That lone cigarette drooping from his lips when he left us, ironing cold faults out of the sheets in cupping silence. I've heard it said addicts live fast and die slow, that bad habits die hard, harder than telling the man with the ashtray balanced on his knee he's killing us. Soigneux, a light? He'd ask once, then again. Because granddaughters can find the ignition faster than the carpool tunnel, he knows. We never asked to grow old of ash stuck to our frames, muddling our better memories. The grime made his lungs throb and stole the time he never served. How my grandmother watered his hell down. She claimed his throat was the chimney and his heart the fireplace that kept the lights on. But those who kept him company over long winters said he'd be burnt out by the 7th story. We kept climbing, but in reality, he was every tale his children held each other to. A smoke signal, we were relieved, blew the other way, clean at last when he was gone.
Thank you so much, Anna. That piece really struck us because, I mean, we loved the unique format of your poem. I thought It was just really striking. The way your use of spaces was really striking. And we actually have had several submissions since that have modeled after Burning Out and have referenced you. So we just wanted to let you know that. It's been super influential to the Asterlit community, and I think we've seen quite a lot of people very inspired by your piece. So thank you so much for submitting that again. We were really honored to have published it. So our next reader is Pritha Jain with Three-Tiered Daydreams. Pritha Jain is an 18 summers old poet in progress, trying to make sense of the world within and outside her through art. So Pritha Jain's piece is called Three-Tiered Daydreams, and whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Hi, I'd just like to ask first, am I audible?
What'd you say? Sorry, you said,
yeah,
you're audible.
am I audible?
Sorry, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah.
It's okay. Just a little base about my poem. This is based after the fountain scene from the movie Atonement. So here it goes. Three-tiered daydreams. Stage 1, encoding. Science tells me water is a gracious host for how its atoms collapse into each other to carve room for unwelcome guests too. Its blue is transcribed with loneliness for DNA, which is to say it only makes sense. For the soul and anecdotes it swallows whole rarely ever get to see the light of day again. It leaves me wondering whether this shrine of 1,000 borrowed emotion, if knocked at in the middle of the night, is yet another darkened room of forbidden remote. But I know then, where Cecilia jumps into the water without sparing herself so much as a second thought. Stage 2, storage. The world courses through her veins in a chemical haze. She sculpts synapses out of the cerulean for the electricity in her bloodstream to trespass through them uninvited. She leaves herself behind in a dampened mess of skin and water molecules, only for the universe to grow softer around the precipice of Froben Islands. Stage 3, retrieval. Enclosing the distance between himself and the fountain, a rite of passage. He holds his palm out against its surface. The sapphire of it, brazen with memories of the religion slipping through his fingers, which is to say, they first touch each other through the impenetrable bounds of space and time and matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You were the issue 6 Starlet winner, and we were so taken aback by the way you structured your poem in stages and how you used water as a vessel for the intersection of two lives. And we especially loved the last few lines, which is to say, through the impenetrable bounds of space and time and matter. We love the way you ended that poem. That really struck us. So thank you so much for submitting to us. Our next reader is Adesian Alua Palumi with Potpourri. Adesian is a genre-bending creative who scribes from Oyo State, Nigeria. He is the winner of the 2022 Cheshire White Ribbon Day Creative Competition, an honorable mention recipient in the 2022 Coexist Lit International Metamorphosis Writing Contest, and a finalist in the 2022 We Naija Literary Contest. He writes to explore the intersectionality between memory, language, identity, religion, and selfhood. Some of his works are published/forthcoming in Poetry Whales, IHRAF, Kissing Dynamite, Ice Flow Press, Unoya Review, African Writer Magazine, Brittle Paper, Lumiere Review, among many other publications and anthologies. He reads poetry for the 5 South and the Kitchen Table Quarterly. He tweets at Adamine Poems. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Okay. The title of my piece is Potpourri. Love comes like a scroll in a bottle, as trail luggage, and somehow its content, its grief, is mine to own. This is the duplicity of grief, the dry tears, move as scabs on the weight of a grief-inked letter, words carrying the burden of mourning, and this threnody is a metaphor for a red poisonous letter in a bouquet of purple daisies. Yes, this grief is a fetus born from the spawning of red, of blood, and tonight, familiar apparition roams the tidal waves of the cloud. And somewhere in the Cyrus, I can see Babi, and she is not dead. She's a little dew waiting to rain again. She's rebetting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You were an issue 8 honorable mention recipient, and potpourri is not something that we see in poems very often. I usually associate it with like something that kind of freshens up unsanitary spaces. So you can sometimes see it in like public restrooms. But I think the way you took these like dried petals and connected them to the grief you felt was so incredible, and we really do commend you for this piece. So we really enjoyed reading it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Our next reader is Ariba Ali with Snails on the Sidewalk. Ariba is in the 3rd year of her undergraduate degree. She enjoys writing post-war stories with added elements of magical realism. In her spare time, she enjoys listening to music and using such as an inspiration for her own stories and characters. Thank you so much for being here, Ariba, and whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Am I coming across okay? Sorry, I just had to rejoin.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay. When the man, who was less a man and more of an open wound, sauntered into the quaint flower shop at the edge of town, the roses began to blush. A glint in his eye and a solemnness to his step, he watches over those unfurling blooms, lifting each one's head to that humming fluorescent light, brows furrowed and breath bated. They are each bashful and vain and beautiful, and wishing for the golden sun to spill onto their faces, a quiet plea to see the sky once more. He will say words that are not meant for anyone to hear. Best picked after rain, clings to rock like a lifeline, wishes to live longer, before turning on his heel and gathering bunches of bouquets in his arm. A peculiar assortment for a peculiar man, and gold coins fall to the counter with a faint clink. He leaves just as he came, as an open wound. A letter. You have always been so particular in what you do, my darling. Your clothes, your hair, your food. If it weren't for such competency to fulfill these demands of yourself, I would call you a reckless and spoiled child. But then again, you have always done what you could to spoil me as well. So such flaws are forgivable, and to me, even endearing. I have left the keys on the kitchen counter as I open the door that leads to the backyard. And once you stumble into the backyard, you will find a mosaic of everything we have built together. Please do not fuss over your food and help snails cross the sidewalk. I brought a basket of oranges, so peel them as best you can with those blunt nails of yours, and do not be childish regarding plums. They will be sweet when you eat them for breakfast, I promise. The peculiar man fusses with the collar of his coat, dress shoes on cobblestone, and a frown tugs at the corner of his lips when it does not align with his shirt. He wanders to the edge of town as the sun stretches toward the sky at noon, and the flowers in the windowsill, encouraged by its cosmic path, reach themselves towards that distant sun, even though they are wilting. He does not say much, or he says too much. Quiet until there's something to be said about watering times, sunlight requirements, or fertile soils. He purchases 3 orchid plants, a handful of peonies, a dozen bouquets of lilies, mint, and coriander sprouts. As an afterthought, he ransacks the store for their entire collection of sunflower seeds.
Oh, you can continue. Sorry, this is just an
I'm
excerpt.
going to continue?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I just had to pull it up once again. Do I just go all the way to the end?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If the woman you love has not yet returned your sentiments after all these gifts, I think it is best for you to leave her be. The shopkeeper grumbles, a little awestruck by his sudden stroke of good fortune. Is that so? Yes. You would be making a fool of yourself otherwise. You are an elegant type of man, albeit a bit strange. There must be another woman who strikes your fancy and will return such affections. There is none. Then I bet you all the money in my pocket that you will not be able to win her over. The peculiar man gladly takes on the bet, because even if he does not have much, He has always been a man of his word. He empties out his pockets and then considers emptying his entire life's fortune before heartily shaking that shopkeeper's hand and slipping into the evening light. A letter. My heart's affection, here's the thing. I have always wanted to be a stone, but at the end of the day, I think that I am a tree, burrowing its roots into the forest ground and always looking towards the sun. I have tried to turn myself into a stone, day and night, as I know you have, but we are old, old trees, and it's because I am a tree that I have had the pleasure of meeting you. Do you know what a matriarch tree is? Matriarch, sorry. She looks over her loved ones in the forest, and her wisdom replenishes life itself. She does not overstay her welcome, and although she is much older than you and I, she has nourished the both of us. I think our story is similar to hers, at least in some ways, because although we ogle at her strength and size, really all she wants to do is watch love grow. Isn't that what we have always wanted as well? Promise me to not leave as most fathers do. Plant and replenish the orange tree in our garden. Make sure it touches the sky. Letter ends. What can you give me to make a tree touch the sky? The peculiar man asked the shopkeeper one day. Do you mean a good fertilizer? He chuckles, amused by the look of seriousness across those delicate features. I think you may be more of an expert than I am in such matters. Unfortunately, there's nothing this humble store can do to achieve such a dream. The peculiar man furrows his brows, laden thorn of roses and moon cacti, sickly plants with an odd blossoming of color at their heads. He makes his daily purchases and nods goodbye. It has been very long, he thinks to himself, the sun on his back and shimmering across the sidewalks. The days fall into one another, a theatrical sort of wanting by a most dubious and deceitful actor. He has become crueler, even after years of softening the spear's edge. It has been very long, and he has grown very tired. Ants fall into line, like little soldiers marching home, and he has the desire to squish them beneath his toe. He sees a snail, slow and pathetic, and places his boot to its shell. I have a running bet with a florist, he says to no one in particular. Please come home. I have a running bet with a florist. You know how much I hate to lose. A letter. Do you remember how you would wake me at the break of dawn? I would grumble and mutter, and you would pull me to my feet and help me dress. I would always laugh when the breeze ruffled your hair out of place. You have always been so particular. Hand in hand, our arm linked in arm, those pink hues of August faded into sunlight. I kneeled down once, 20 little snails trying to make their way across the sidewalk. I plucked them up from their shells, and they would recoil in fear before gently dropping down onto the greenest of leaves. You huffed at first, and I told you that it would have taken them all day otherwise. Then you kneeled down with me and began helping those snails. I love you more than you could possibly understand. Please keep helping snails cross the streets. Letter ends. Be careful of pests, the shopkeeper said. Snails may gnaw at those green leaves of yours. The peculiar man shrugs his shoulders. Have I won the bet regarding that woman you had decided to charm? My wife is gone, the peculiar man says with a hollowness he cannot hold. My wife is gone, and I miss her dearly, he says. And she is a bloodstain he will never rid himself of, and he is just as he was, an open wound now stitching itself together.
Wow, thank
And
you.
that's the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were an issue 5 Starlet winner, and something that really struck us about your piece is how perfectly you encapsulated life after death of a loved one, and the way mundane things like buying flowers become so powerful. And the interactions he had with the florist, we thought were like really beautiful and symbolic of like grief. And also we really loved your italicized sections, because I feel like that added an extra layer of like intrigue, and we wanted to stay till the end to see like who was saying this, what significance did that have. And we think like your piece kind of shows how memories come back in waves and how like grief is a process. So thank you so much for submitting to us. And then our Next reader is Farai Shaka with Poem Most Likely to Be Burnt. Farai is a first-year university student studying legislative law. He likes reading novels, listening to albums, and taking long, aimless walks. So Farai's piece, Poem Most Likely to Be Burnt. Whenever you're ready, Farai.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is, I realize I didn't introduce myself at first. I'm Farai Chak. I'm zooming in from Harare, Zimbabwe. My piece is called Poem Most Likely to Be Burnt. Most of what we call history is an arm pushing us backwards. I wake up to sunlit streets and dirty walls, and to love something also means to surrender yourself to the thought this has failed. I love my country the way we breathe, slowly, painfully, sometimes not at all. Most of what we call history is clean streets and cheap suits and gleaming cities and countless white men. Most nights I watch YouTube videos of cats and pranks and lose myself in the triviality of Western humor. And most nights my country is fire and my countrymen wood. My descendants moved through landscapes with nothing but hunger and a few tools, and it feels ungrateful to write angry poems about our democracy. But let it be known that I am tired and drained. Most of what we call history is the promise of erasure. Our old ones speak of heavens, afterlives, and other forms of transcendence, but not inheritance. Most of what I want is most of what we don't have: physical starlight and peaceful nights. In art galleries, I always veer towards abstractions, and this is another way of saying I am used to country colors. I am used to promises disguised as country colors and promises. All it takes fire on protesters. Most of what we call history is misremembrance. We were never happy with clean streets and cheap suits and white men, but we aren't happy now either. This is what they call irony. This is what they call a poem most likely to be burnt. Thank you.
Thank you. So you were an issue 7 Starlet winner, and many poets have said, at least to me, that all poetry is inherently political. And I think Poem Most Likely to Be Burnt like really exemplifies what that means, because I think this poem is so powerful and that it addresses difficult topics in such a like tangible, melodic way. So you talk about like erasure, a Western erasure of non-white, non-European history and like government military censorship, and you tie it all together with the image of clean streets and cheap suits and white men. And I think that's just, I love how like circular your poem was, how it started with the cheap suits and white men and ended with the cheap suits and white men. That's something that really stood out to me. So thank you so much for submitting to us. We really were so honored to include you in issue 7. Thank you. And then our next reader sadly could not be here with us today. He can't wake up it's about I think 2 a.m. his time, and he can't wake up the people in his dorm. But Ronald is a college student taking up a BS in Management Information Systems, an MS in Computer Science at the Ateneo de Manila University. Before entering college, he served as one of the senior editors of his high school publication. During those years, he has been able to win campus journalism awards, including a regional championship for news writing. Currently, he is part of Explained PH, a youth-driven media organization composed of campus journalists and across the Philippines. So we thank Ronald for contributing his piece to us. I'm just going to read his piece right now, and I'll, since we're recording this, he'll hopefully be able to see it after. I'm just going to say some compliments for his piece, and then I'll read it. So his piece is called Sandcastle. Today, I glimpsed myself from the filmy water and thought that my footsteps were messy entry points to a dream. The sunlight draped over my forehead. We were asked to wait until the bucket is full, and I was told to stay. On the shore, a memory lost in remembering. In my head, a future caged inside the past. See, they say, you just have to feel the minutes like they were harmless black ants, because fear only becomes real when you're seconds away from the sea. Yet my shadow becomes larger and there's no other way but forward. I drink as often as I think about the salt, long after the taste is gone, when the waters surge and all I could see were the shore without its history, the bucket full, the child sleeping, awash by the rain. Something that really stood out about Ronald's piece, he's an issue 8 theme winner. I think his piece used water in such an impactful way, and we love how he played with the idea that water holds memory, and we thank him so much for contributing his piece to this reading. Our next reader is Ede Emmanuel Ede, his piece is called Fluorescence. Emmanuel is a Nigerian writer who writes in prosaic form. He writes a few lines of what he thinks is poetry in schools in Nigeria as well. When he is not writing, he can be found reading or watching anime or nerding out over fandoms and science. He enjoys music thoroughly. His piece is Fluorescence, and we thought it was really beautiful. So Emmanuel, whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Okay. Sorry, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I'm just going to start with the first poem. The first part of the story. I was initially going to go to the last part, but since the first part was split, I'm just going to go to that. What happened if the world wasn't so bad? Daisy asked. That's utopia you imagine, Daisy. We can only imagine what utopia would be like. My mother sighed heavily and turned to the receding sun. I imagine finally all would be at peace. I would welcome it. Daisy placed her hand in her mother's and they stood there, watching the sun as it took a final bow. Blushing so fiercely, even the wind heated in embarrassment, and the skies colored themselves rouge. A gentle breeze blew through the lush green meadow, causing the grass to wiggle and wave in excited but hushed admiration. The susurration of their thanks carried on by the wind to places near and far. As the eyes of the sun drooped to a close, a butterfly fluttered by, away from the peace and warmth of the meadow that would soon go cold, and fled into the comfort of the trees that would house it and its kin. The sun's light winked out and the flowers in the field bowed once, then the land exhaled. Rest, at last. The mind is capable of a great many accomplishments, all of them beginning first with thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Were you going to read more, or was that all you wanted to read?
Oh, initially I was going to read the end, but since this is what you put, I don't know.
Oh no,
am I still
sorry.
permitted
We
to-
can. So we were putting excerpts into the slideshow because we
all right,
couldn't fit like the entire piece. But you know, that's an us problem. It's not a you problem. So you can read like up till the 5-minute limit. So that means you can read the end if you would like as well.
All right then. I'll
Yeah.
just take the end piece.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you're at your limit, eh? You're at the end. Don't try to stop me. Me, the wizened old man asked. He had a gaunt expression, a thin lip, and a noticeably even thinner tolerance range. His tight-lipped smile was not a smile. Why ever would I try to stop you, boy? I'm just an old man and I've got no time for the world or any of its petty squabbles, he said, and dusted the rock beside him as if he could sit on it, as if he weren't a plant. By all means, boy, jump. He smiled his thin-lipped smile that wasn't really a smile again, and watched with beady eyes. His rat-eagling cloak was torn in several places, and some of the leaves were falling out. A few strips of his once brilliant plume of orange, soft, feather-like petals had fallen off. Yeah, his color shone in the sun. He seemed to be the only one who didn't bother about the sun. He was old Sunflower, of course. Oh, are you still here, son? I thought you wanted to jump. Jump so high and pull your roots out and let the wind do the rest, eh? You'll be dead in a few hours from the lack, and before the morning, you'll be dried out as a stick, and we'll just pay you a pitying glance and go on about living life. Why are you still here? Go on, jump. Don't be shy. Don't mock me, Bedfellow bellowed. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what it's like. Oh, sure, why not? I'm just an old man after all. You know, we're the same age and we've got the same experiences as myself. Please, jump. Stop doing that. I have to do this. Then do it and stop bantering with me, old Sunflower said, as if as an aside. Why are you here? Bellflower asked. In his crouched position, several of his beautiful stops had been plucked out of his flowing apparel, and there was an irregular flat at the hem of his belt. Why, I'm here to watch an idiot jump, isn't it obvious? You don't know me, Bellflower muttered and turned away. You don't know my past. Your past? The old man suddenly shot forward, stick raised high. At the last moment, his hand fell and the stick landed heavily to the floor. The old man crumpled through the floor too. Bellflower glanced at him and turned back. You're a fool if you think this is the easy way, the old man said as he picked himself up. He clutched the stick with both hands and pressed it heavily into the ground. You talk about the past as if you knew anything about it. You youth, all idiots. He slapped at the air and walked back to the rock where he was standing before. Go on then, I'm not stopping you. Why are you here? Bellflower asked as he turned to the man. Old Sunflower kissed his teeth and scrunched his face in the other direction. Imagine that, asking why I'm here. Here I thought I found someone who was actually serious about jumping. Bellflower caused the distance between them and melted for the man. His eyes were searching, pleading blue orb set into a handsome face. I have to do this. The past. The past, old Sunflower yelled. Forget your past. Forget whatever happened. It's happened. The end. Move on. You think the past is all your fault, or that life has been unfair to you. You think that you are the first one that whatever has happened to. You're not. The past is not a to-do list. It's a calendar. You plan with your past for your future. You don't know what's wrong with you. Storm clouds rumbled in the darkening sky. You know nothing about me. Bellflower said darkly. He did not wipe the tear that strode lazily down the contour of his cheek. I don't need to. I see a man who's willing to throw everything away simply because things didn't go as he planned. Bellflower hung his head, unable to stop the tears that ran down his face. 5 droplets of rain scattered on the ground. Old Sunflower sighed and looked up to the sky. The rain blessed his face with their tiny fleeting kisses. Close your eyes, son, he said to Bellflower. Hold. Do you feel the way those droplets cling to your skin, dappling you in a feeling that you cannot even relate to experience? Soak it in. Bellflower's eyes were closed, but the tears still came. And that is what was beautiful about the rain. No one can see you cry. No one can see you break down. No one can see you. No one can blame you for being soft or wet or weak, because the rain falls on everybody. He sank to his knees and felt something clawing up out of him. It was a scream. It was anguish. It was pain. It was brokenness. Sunflower had his face turned up to the sky. When he spoke, his voice came from a distant place, far beyond the both of them, far beyond the plains being soaked by the offerings of the skies. Absorb. Bellflower sniffed and inhaled. The air passed through his nostrils like they were meant to. It flooded him. He could have sworn that he could taste the wind in his mouth. Absorb. He felt the rain cling to his skin, to his hair. It soaked his petals and his flowing white bell apparel. It chilled him to the bone, but somehow he could feel a warmth too, a warmth that was not there before. He tilted his head to the sky, relishing the feeling of the raindrops as they sluiced through the sky and found his face. The tears fell, but no one knew. No one would know. Now absorb. His exhale was the sound of a spring shooting back its original position. It was the sound of a bird freed from its cage. It was the sound of wind whistling through the green, through the trees. It was freedom. It was peace. Lose your past, son. Let the God-blessed rains wash you and cleanse you. The mother pulls at your feet now, sticky, reluctant to let you go. That is the past. You feel the weight, do you not? That is what you have been carrying for so long, an unnecessary burden. Step out of them. Your guilt, your shame, your past, everything. Step out of them as you wool dirty underwear, with loathing, with scorn and discontent. Step out of the past and awaken in a new future. Old Sunflower did not know where his voice came from. It sounded deeper, more meaningful, weighted. It sounded right. Let the pains of the past be washed away from your heart and your mind, like the rains that wash away the filth from your skin. Allow the waters cleanse you. Bellflower could not feel anything anymore. He could not see anything, but he could still hear the old man's voice. One leg went up, tentative. Now step out of them. The leg landed. Step out of that filth. Another leg rose and came down. Come, climb this rock, and let your past go with the rains down a forgotten drain. When Bellflower opened his eyes, he was beside old Sunflower. The man was grinning, his eyes sparkled. What had happened? Look at you, your color's returning. The rain stopped and the sun seemed to peek out from behind the clouds. My boy, you will live yet again. And just as the rains have watered the earth to make room for new growth, so you too will grow. You live, you bloom, you blossom and smile. You'll be fluorescent again. And then as an addendum, the past is like a cuff or sleeve. Depending on how you wear it, your future is affected. We are lives and choices, not just humans, not burdens. There is light in us if we let it show. We are alive, we're experiences. Fluorescent. Thank you. Sorry, it's quite a long read.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, my power just went out. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, sure.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So something that we really loved about your piece, thank you so much for sharing, by the way. You were an issue 5 theme winner, and there is such beauty in the way you crafted your piece. And we loved how your story, each of your stories, like individual stories, taught us such a valuable lesson. And it almost felt like folklore to me, because like I feel like those stories could be turned into classics. Sometimes I go back and read them like to myself, just for my own enjoyment, because I just really love the way you tell them. And I think the way you utilized floral imagery and the natural world to tell your stories is really powerful. And I think it also fit with the theme of fluorescence. So thank you so much for sharing that piece with us today. Our next reader, and second to last reader, is Bayan Arif with Let's Wander Together While Being Apart. Bayan is a medical student by day, a literature at night. Bayan's love for writing began at an early age when she devoured novels hidden in her textbooks and plot thrillers instead of doing her math homework. Her work has been published in the anthologies After Dark and Wars of Quiet. She's religiously held on to writing as an escape from her harsh surroundings, but now pens rhymes with the intention to move people and bring about a change in said surroundings. So thank you for being here, and whenever you're ready, you can read your piece.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm just gonna start now. Okay. Hold your hand as if you're holding mine while you run along the shore till night, then dive, plunge into the deep blue. The salty water somehow being the sweetest thing that you have ever tasted. Then search. And I promise I'll be searching with you on the other end of the ocean. Search for shells that remind us of us before we had become us. Crack them open and pick the pearls carefully. Then ride with me to the clouds and toss the shiny white things down to the lands and watch them rain on shells that remind us of us before we had become us. Watch them turn into diamonds that sway and swirl and birth rainbows from their eyes instead of storms. Then storm through still museums filled with lifeless statues and paintings frozen in time, which remind us of us before we'd become us. Show them how it's done until they animate and sway with you. Then kiss the memory of me at a show in Broadway like nobody's watching, and watch the eyes shift from fiction to fantasy. Then run with me through old forgotten streets like you've just robbed a bank. Rather, you've robbed the hearts of anyone who's watching, wishing they were you, wandering this earth like it's a walk in the park instead of being rooted by their excuses. Why risk comfort to feel alive when you can statically exist? Heck, that's what plants are for. So wander with me, explore this country, that's only left half alive. As if you were exploring me in the dark of the night, let your hands wander through grass and leaves like they wander on my skin. Let your feet move on untrodden streets like they do when you dance with me. Smile when you look at the pink clouds. Desire this escape, a journey without a destination, like you lust over me, and I swear I'll do the same on this side of the land. No, don't you dare think of any sundering. With even 1,000 miles between us, we're only growing closer. So come, get lost in the night, and I swear I'll do the same on this side until the names on our lips become lips themselves, until you hold my hand again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We loved this poem. We thought it felt like a classic love poem with an added layer of just such vivid imagery. We love your use of imagery. We really think that added so much to your piece. And then I think it also had a hint of sorrow and loss, which made us really, intrigued, and we really wanted to read till the end to see what would happen, and we just loved your piece. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. And our final reader is Ariana Thornton with Persimmon Tree. Ariana is a high school junior from Gaithersburg, Maryland, attending Phillips Exeter Academy. She enjoys visual art in all forms of creative writing and is inspired by elements of nature around her. Thank you for being here, Ariana, and whenever you're ready, you can read.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So this poem is called Persimmon Tree. And by the way, is my sound okay?
Yes.
Okay, so my poem is called Persimmon Tree, and the Chinese words in this poem, 柿子树, translate to persimmon tree in English. A stranger dragged a knife through our persimmon tree, Ma's 柿子树. You and I squatted over front yard fruit splattered over uncut grass. You cursed the vandal. I scooped my small finger through golden wounds and sucked. Is it a blessing or a curse to remember that 柿子树 with trunk sun-arched like an old woman, the beloved pill bugs and clotted cream petals of my childhood? That tree of 7 virtues, longevity, large shade, free of bird nests, free of pests, frosted leaves to play with, edible fruits, leaves broad as pages of books that rested in your china vase. That night when it shattered, loud words and vase swept off the table by his large hand, water spilled out like bile, my small wet cheek pressed into the carpet, red as persimmons, 911 to your ear, rattling of car keys and closing of garage door as he fled. In the divorce, my 柿子树 deserted. I remember you pulling up your sleeves and pant legs, showing your mottled pollen-colored skin, and all the places where he hurt you. With my own breasts flowering, lips maturing, curves lengthening and filling out, I wonder what it means to be a woman, and I weep for the persimmon tree.
Thank you, Ariana. So Ariana was our issue 5 theme winner, and we were just so in love with this poem's unique structure. We love the slashes and Ariana's use of very specific imagery to evoke nostalgia within us, and we were fascinated by the Tree of 7 Virtues. She was also featured on our latest podcast episode, which is on Spotify now, if you want to go check that out. So I just want to thank you all so much for being here today. It was such an honor to get to hear all of your pieces read out loud. So before we go, I just wanted to update you on some of our upcoming Asterlit news. So we do have a podcast. It is at Aster on Spotify. We have some incoming interviews. We have one with Sean Jura in mid-March on translation into German. We are open for submissions until May 15th, and we nominate for Best Small Fictions, Pushcart, Best Microfiction, and Best of the Net, as well as our Starlet Awards, where you win $100, and our honorable mentions. So if you would like to donate to us, we'd really appreciate it. You can support us on Ko-Fi. You can donate for feedback or extra submissions. The Ko-Fi link is located on our website. And our team recruitment is in April. So if you would like to join the team, you can stay tuned. You can, look at updates on our Instagram and Twitter. And if you have an idea for us, you can email us at asterlitmagazine@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram. And we do have a listing on Chill Subs if you want to check that out as well. And then thank you guys so much for coming. Your voice matters. If you want to check us out, you can go on Instagram at aster.lit or Twitter at litaster.